Let us take the next question. Using any three prescribed texts to justify that there is violence in society. It could be physical, it could be emotional, violence. In a walk in the night, the white racist policemen harass Michael on the street, pull him to the ground and search him, thinking that he is planning to undertake an armed robbery in the district area. It should be noted that blacks are generally associated with criminality. It should also be noted that the white apartheid government in South Africa gives a license for whites to arbitrarily arrest blacks, detain them, torture them, make them to disappear, and kill them if necessary. Michael Adonis goes back home frustrated after losing his job and goes to the apartment building after taking a few glasses of alcohol. And Uncle Dottie wants to comfort him with a bottle of whiskey. In the course of an argument, the argument turns violent and out of place, and Michael Adonis hits Uncle Dottie with a bottle of whiskey, and the old man falls and dies. Constable Rat is a very frustrated, racist, and violent policeman. Part of his frustration comes as a result of his failed marriage, and he takes out his anger, especially on blacks. He visits the gambling joint that is controlled by Chips, and Chips makes a joke on him, which he does not appreciate, and he hits him very hard on the jaw, causing him to bleed. Nevertheless, before he departs, he collects bribe from him because gambling is an illegal business. Constable Rat is on patrol, and his presence is called to the apartment building where the occupants have found out that Uncle Dottie is dead. Coincidentally, Lorenzo's wife and other tenants had seen Willie Boy leaving the apartment building in a haste and in a suspicious manner, and they report to Constable Rat, who concludes that the killer is nobody else but Willie Boy, and a manhunt is put in place, and they find him returning home on the road, and the chase begins as Constable Rat shoots him, follows him down the alley, and meets him bleeding and shoots him at close range. Despite attempts to call for an ambulance, which would have taken him to the hospital to save his life, Constable Rat throws him behind the police van with the intention to take him to the police station. And he abandons the boy in the police van as the boy keeps bleeding while he discusses with the cigarette vendor. And the boy bleeds to death. In Lake God, there is violence. When Shea Boyo comes to the palace regularly to remind the fawn of negligence of his royal duties, amongst which include his refusal to perform the annual sacrifice to the god in the lake. To send him away and to avoid being disturbed by his presence, the Fawn's thugs beat Shea Boyo mercilessly and push him out of the palace as he goes back to the sacred grove to nurse his wounds. Quiphon had been burned, and we are informed that Quiphon had been burned because water had disappeared in the lake when the fawn had refused to perform the sacrifice. Consequently, Quiphon had performed a human sacrifice in order to bring back water in the lake, an activity which the fawn had considered to be barbaric, heathen, or pagan, and as a Christian fawn, as he claims, he decides to ban Quiphon. Nevertheless, this action brings back water in the lake. The women who work on their farms at Ngamba and their crops are being destroyed by the cattle in the village. The women tie up Dewa in sticks, carry him and bring him to the palace to tell the fawn that they want the cattle rearers to leave the land, but the fawn refuses because part of the cattle that are reared by the cattle rearers belong to him. In addition, he tries to bribe the women in what I call a disguised compensation of 2,000 francs each, but the women refuse and leave the palace. Quiphon visits, members of Quiphon visit the fawn in the palace, trying to make him to understand the rationale and the imperative for him to perform the sacrifice to the lake god. If not, there will be a catastrophe. But he is still adamant to listen to their piece of advice. And Quiphon leaves, informing the fawn that they will be back again. When Quiphon returns, they kidnap the fawn from the palace with the intention to force him to perform the sacrifice and save the community from a catastrophe, but it is too late. There is an explosion in the lake that destroys everything on its path: human beings, animals, houses, and the surrounding environment, leaving the village a desolate place. In across the Mongolo, Ndi Nkemasa beats Menyinka for cutting plantain leaves in the ancestral shrine. The woman had cut these plantain leaves to cook koki, but because the ancestral shrine is a sacred place where the ancestors' skulls are kept to be worshipped, makes it a crime for her to cut those plantain leaves, which are considered to be very sacred. When Ngwe and his friend embark on their journey to Besade, and they cross the bridge over River Mongolo, the gendarme who stops their car checks on the passengers, and the old man who had been sitting in front of Ngwe's identity card, and the picture on it is not very visible. And when the gendarme speaks to the policeman who responds to him in English, the gendarme slaps the policeman and asks him to sit on the ground. Ngwe, who had descended from the car to watch this great river Mongolo, which he had heard so much from his history teacher, Mr. Mbonsop, has taken off time away from the bus, and the gendarme thinks that Ngwe is trying to evade control and adds him into the humiliation. It is only by some sheer luck that cars keep speeding off that the gendarme allows them to go. During the student strike at the University of Besade, Ngwe is innocent and does not even know that there is a strike on campus. And he decides to take the shortcut to go into the campus to go to Cité Université. He is arrested by some policemen, and when Ngwe speaks in English, he is branded as a subversive and dangerous element and one of the leaders of the strike. He is taken to Senkiem, which is a police station, where he is detained, deprived of food and water, tortured at the balançoire, and he is only released through a minor mistake because the people think that he might be the son of Ngwe Salo, the Secretary General at the presidency. And during the strike, the students also ransack food and other items at the resto. And they also stop cars at the road and burn cars. The police also arrest members of the Young Anglophone movement, which is a movement that had been influenced through the conversation that Ngwe had eavesdropped between Chief and Doctor concerning the marginalization, discrimination, and assimilation of Anglophones by Francophones. He and his friends had formed the Young Anglophone movement, whose major aim was to fight for full citizenship rights for Anglophones. And they had planned a march to the Prime Minister's office. Unfortunately, their planned action had been leaked by spies. The main leaders are rounded up, arrested, detained, and tortured. Ngwe misses this treatment because he is given a tip-up by Shirela, who informs him that Baba Joro men are looking for him, and Ngwe flees to the village. In the cask of Amontillado, Montresor family is a family that has a motto in which forgiveness has no place. And we are made to understand that anyone who taints or insults the honor of the family does not go unpunished. They are brutally killed in the catacomb. And the many skeletons which are scattered all over the place is testimony of the many people that they have killed, and without having the dignity to give them a decent burial, as they allow them to rot like animals. Montresor claims that Fortunato is his friend. Yet he bears a grudge against him, claiming that he had insulted him in the past. He uses wine tasting to convince him to take him to his palazzo. And when he takes him into the catacomb and shares a bottle of Medoc with him, he chains him to the wall and buries him alive. This is the worst type of death that can be given to a friend, highlighting man's inhumanity. In The Prince, the author advises that when the ruler captures a new territory, he should eliminate physically the ruling family, all the members. In addition, he should also kill all the members or the ruling class of the society and put a new one that will be faithful and loyal to him. Secondly, Machiavelli also advises that if the conquered people refuse to succumb to the authority of the new prince should use brutal force. And the brutal force should be such violent and barbaric that it will deter future insurrection from the people. And they will be forced to listen to whatever thing that he says. Thank you for listening. Subscribe to our channel. Send us your comment to tell us how you feel and what you think we can do. If there is any question that you find difficulty, send it to us on the comment section and we'll send you an answer immediately. Have a wonderful day.